Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Fox298 here, and welcome back to a brand new F1 2020 My Team Career Mode video for you guys today here on the channel. So we're here for the Austrian Grand Prix. I believe this is part number 11 now of this season so far. And as you can see, we're going through all of the normal stuff in the menus that we can do during this time period. And as you can see, Jack Aitken's contract is going to be expiring in 7 days' time, which does mean that we are going to need to have a look at the driver market, which will be after this race. So that's going to be quite fascinating. But if you end up enjoying today's video, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well to see plenty more Formula 1 content. And as I've said in the past, thank you very much for all the support on the F1 2020 My Team Career Mode so far, as the Koreans continue to expose themselves in a positive manner. Just ignore the nukes in the back of my garage. Yeah, apart from that, yeah, we're doing very nicely. So as you can see, I was taking a very good look to see what the market value of there's a lot of the drivers. I've currently got 4.41 million, and I will be saving that for the end of this episode, where I'll be able to find out what I'll actually be able to afford. But as you can see, we're going to quickly go ahead and do, I believe we did a sponsor event, just to add a little bit to the team acclaim, unless I did something else. I genuinely can't remember at this point. It was a sponsor event. And as you can see, oh, surprise, 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 an upgrade failed on my car. I swear to God, and as well, it was a major chassis upgrade. So if we had that on the car, it could have easily given us a nice boost in some areas, even though it's a very high-speed circuit, Austria, but you never know. And I don't even have enough resource points to buy it again, so I'm going to have to wait now for this race weekend, and that's really put me off course in my development race. But as you can see, in the previous 5 Grand Prix, we've won 3 and taken 2 non-point scoring finishes. So we've done a very good job in the previous 5 races so far, but of course we need to keep our wits about ourselves, be realistic, and as you can see, we're still ploughing on with our upgrades on each department. And as you can see, I could actually afford to do an engine upgrade at some point. I don't know if I actually managed to repurchase the chassis upgrade. I presume I did. Yes, I did. You can see it there. So I did actually manage to buy that so it doesn't fail, which does mean now that I will be able to afford a minor upgrade if I did want to put onto the car, which is, completely my own choice on that front. I'm pretty sure I do. But, dude, can we get this miserable bugger out of the Koreans team, please? We want people with determination and fight, not that dude. We're going to call that dude something. Drop a comment in the comment section down below what we're going to name that dude that looks like a miserable bugger, because we need to expose his name to everybody. Qualifying then. Crossing the start-finish line. It was half second off Valtteri Bottas' lap time. Austria, very, very good circuit for me. Really, really happy with it. So, as per usual, I was very, very slow in the middle sector compared to the AIs. So, I just set my car up for full-on straight-line speed. Didn't even bother to try and help out in the middle sector. There was no point. I'm just going to go and benefit the place that I'm strongest at and just hold firm in the other parts of the lap, which I think was fair. So, yeah, we got with this very low downforce setup for this weekend and through in towards Q1. Jack Aitken, obviously being South Korean half, is obviously showing that which part of Korea is the weaker side of it. And now we go over towards the end of Q2. And, we're, at the start of Q2, should I say. I believe this was a scrub set of tyres that I put onto my car. And it tells there with a 103... Actually, no, that probably wasn't a scrub set of tyres. Jeez, that was a quick lap in there. As we now go across here. And we actually do simulate to the end. And that gets us through into Q3. I thought it was a scrub set of tyres that I used in Q2. It turns out I was lying to you all. It was actually a new set. And we get through and we are in P6 then. In that end of qualifying once again, outperforming Alex Albon, which is quite interesting. But now towards Q3 we go, and we've only used 2 sets of tyres. That was quite wide through there. We only used 2 sets of tyres in this session, so we've got the opportunity to run with a bit more. But on this first flying lap, a 104.2, that was my used set of soft tyres that I did. And then this here is going to be my actual Q3 lap. So I'm just going to shut up and let you guys listen to it. And across the line then to set a 103.5, which I believe is my best lap of the weekend. And it's going to be P6 for the Austrian Grand Prix. And all in all, it was a very, very solid lap. There was probably 2 corners where I made a mistake, and that would have been turn 5. I took the apex a bit too hard. And then again with turn 7, I just turned in a little bit early. If I just braked a little bit later and let the car flow through a bit more, I probably could have gained about a tenth or 2 here or there. I don't think I would have challenged the top 5 even with those corrections to my lap. But you never know how much speed it could have affected. So yeah, now here's the problem. Obviously, we've been doing very well recently, and I'm very happy with that because I'm just having a lot of fun right now. One disadvantage: I have to pick a new rival, and I could have had one of the Renaults, one of the Racing Points. No, it was either pick one of the Mercedes drivers or one of the Red Bull drivers. So thanks for that, Claire. I've clearly pissed her off so much that she wants to give me the most hardest possible rivalry in the human history of mankind. So thank you very much. And then she decides to tell me about Haas and says, how are they doing? Quite frankly, can you just start interviewing Haas about how they're doing and then interview me about how I'm doing? You are a plum sack and we are going to fight you. Simple as that. My knuckles are already cleansed, as you can see, and we are ready for combat. So let's get straight to it. Anyway, we're currently going for the team acclaim, and we do very well on that front. So with that being said and done, we're going to purchase an upgrade to, I believe it was the ERS, which we're going to do right now. That's going to be on the car for hopefully the Hungarian Grand Prix. And yeah, as soon as we purchase that, we're going to get straight into the race. So put it on the car, Tom, you weirdo. Put it on. There we go. Good. Crack on. Perfect. Race time.
This is it then. Race day in Spielberg for this year's Austrian Grand Prix. The grandstands were a sea of red in 2019 thanks to the commemorative hats in honour of the late great Niki Lauda, who took home victory, of course, back in 1984. And it's a sellout crowd once again here today. The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill turn 3. Anthony Davidson, thanks for joining me once again for the Grand Prix. So let's chat about Daniel Kvyat. There's a new gearbox in the back of that car, which means a grid penalty, and hopefully some excitement as they make their way through the field.
Fingers crossed that's one failure they won't have to worry about today at least. There's not much of a silver lining to starting down the field with a penalty, but I think they'll be able to make some of that back up over the course of the race.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Vettel, Verstappen, Thomas and Albon, Perez, Sainz, Stroll and Daniel Ricciardo. Hamilton, they've taken a grid penalty. Giovinazzi, Kimi Raikkonen and Gasly, Norris, Ocon, Kevin Magnussen and Roman Grosjean. Aitken, Russell, Latifi and Daniel Kvyat completes the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Alright then, so for today's Grand Prix, as you can see, we're on the grid and we do get promoted a position actually due to a grid penalty for Lewis Hamilton, which does mean we're going to start this Austrian Grand Prix in P5 rather than in P6 then. But as we go onto the grid then, we've got 5 red lights here for the start of the Austrian Grand Prix. And it's lights out where we go then to get the race underway. It's been a good initial start, but a bit of wheel spin on the second phase there means I don't quite get the launch that I was actually anticipating. But in towards the first corner then, we go around the outside and there's been a little bit of contact there. One of the Red Bulls has gone spinning off. That's Verstappen in the background then, that's gone off at turn 1 there. And some contact being made between myself and Verstappen. We'll get a replay of that later on, but we're going to go down the inside of Sebastian Vettel in towards turn 3. And we're now moving into 3rd place, and we think the overtake is done, but Vettel now is going to come back at us now towards turn 4. Here comes Sebastian now trying to make his way around the outside of turn 4, but we're going to cover the inside line, break a little bit later than Sebastian, and we secure ourselves P3 now in the Austrian Grand Prix. So a stellar start to the Grand Prix here, and that's a couple of places gained. But let's go and have a look at what happened to Verstappen then. So a good start actually for Max compared to myself, but as we go towards turn 1 here, I actually just go around the outside and just Verstappen just clips my car basically, and he actually goes into the wall and breaks his front wing. So Max, mate, you want to take me out in Monaco? You want to take out the Koreans? The Koreans don't back down. So pick your battles properly, otherwise you will suffer. Now, moving on to a new fight, we've got Sebastian Vettel right on our tail, and as you can see he's only a tenth of a second back as we're going towards the second to last corner here, but again, trying to learn that line. I really struggled to get the braking point right for that line, but onto the end of the first lap then, Bottas leads the Grand Prix, Charles Leclerc is in second place, Sebastian Vettel is in third, and then it's Sergio Perez, Alexander Albon, and then one of the McLaren cars. And now as we go in towards turn 2, you can see here that Vettel has got a fantastic run now on the exit of the corner, and he might actually try and go for a run here. He'll use his ERS. He'll go towards the inside line here. We're going to fend off the inside line, but going to go to the outside to actually cover off my corner. Vettel initially gets in front, but we take a much wider and higher line there, get the better traction on exit, and that's the overtake back in our favour, and we defend P3 against Sebastian now. On to lap 3 of the Grand Prix here, and we've got a yellow flag up front for Bottas in the Mercedes then, as he gets a problem there. We look behind, but Vettel and I got actually nearly hit the side of Bottas there, but yeah, a heartbreak there for the Mercedes driver. He is out of this Austrian Grand Prix after leading from the start and was pulling away quite comfortably over Charles Leclerc, but that moves us into second place into the Grand Prix. So thank you very much, Valtteri, for your failures. My Korean car is continuing to outperform you as we now go in towards turn 3 here, or turn 4 should I say actually, braking a little bit more than I had to then as we just went in a little bit deep. Vettel is actually using a bit of ERS here. We have to use some of our own now, but in towards turn 5 here, I went in way too deep into turn 5, then Vettel there easily takes a position off of us. It's like taking candy from a baby, and or in Korea's terms, taking our AK-47 rifle from a 5-year-old. But now as we go on to the back of the end of the straight here, Vettel is still in close proximity as we go towards this last sector. A bit of dirty air though is compromising our line, but now we've got 3 DRS zones here to attack this Ferrari, and that's my first warning for track extension, but I like to blame dirty air for all of that. And now as we go in towards the first corner here, Vettel very, very close. I was absolutely rapid, I found out, in turn 1. I was able to get the braking point absolutely spot on and get the line absolutely spot on. Now as we're chasing up to the back of Vettel here in towards turn 3 now. We're not quite close, but we are close enough to potentially sneak a move up the inside, and we're going to do just that there. Brake very, very late on the brakes. That's reminiscent to Charles Leclerc's overtake on Sergio Perez at the Austrian Grand Prix when he broke nice and late into that corner. Back end slides a little bit there on the exit of the last corner, lap 7 now. Sergio Perez has actually overtaken Vettel somewhere in all of that, and now he's going to have a go at me. But in towards turn 1 here, we're going to cover that inside line and not give Perez any room to breathe. And Vettel now is going to re-overtake Sergio and get back 3rd place in this Grand Prix. As we now press onwards here. And the premise of this race is quite simple. The defensive lines of the Koreans is being tested to the max here as we go in towards the first corner. Vettel side by side here. This time I couldn't really close the line like I closed it with Sergio Perez, but this time around now Vettel's got DRS here. Perez has got it, so's Albon. We're going to make it 3 wide though, going up towards turn 3 now as Sergio Perez is on the far outside line. We're going to go towards the inside line here, and we did manage to defend the position quite simply actually from those lot behind, but it's quite clear to see that I do not have the pace to get away from the top from Vettel, Perez or Albon. So the plan is very, very simple. If you want to get past me, come by me, but apart from that, have fun, because I'll be here for ages. But that's not a great line in towards turn 3. That was a horrible, horrible entry and exit off of turn 3, and Vettel knows that, and he's going to use his DRS to go around the outside here in towards turn 4 now. Vettel slightly ahead, but again, we'll take that inside line break very, very deep there. Cost Vettel a little bit of time. Now we've got to cover the switchback line from Sebastian, because we know that's going to come at some point here as we now go in towards turn 4 and 5 and 6, should I say, and Vettel just about not with us at this stage of the race as we go in towards the end of the middle sector. This is my weakest point on the racetrack itself now as we go on through, and Vettel here gets a fabulous run on the exit. I tried to cover off Vettel. It's no use though for us versus Sebastian Vettel, but we're going to go around the outside here on Sebastian Vettel and cover that off by coming straight into the pits as Perez and Albon stay out for a little bit longer for me though, and we're coming in now for our one and only stop onto the hard compound tyres. Vettel is going to be following us in, and pretty much I just need to cover off. It's quite difficult actually. I'm trying to cover off as many drivers as I can here, as you know, what a pit stop angle that is. Look at that. You can really see my boys making the pit stop from the other end of the pit lane. But yeah, my biggest problem in this Grand Prix was there was a lot of drivers that I needed to cover off. So I thought I'd cover off the fastest one of the lot, and that is Vettel. Of course, we are definitely struggling a lot for overall race pace versus the Racing Point, the Red Bull, and also Vettel. Speaking of Vettel, here he comes again, then in towards the first corner now. This is going to be quite a simple overtake for Sebastian, but again, we'll go side by side. A little bit of contact is made here and there, but it's such a tight line in towards turn 1 that we kind of had to, really. We didn't have a choice now, and now it's a straight drag race towards turn 3 we go. Vettel is going to have that inside line. He is marginally ahead, but the outside line, as much as it's hard to defend it, it is actually quite a nice line because you can do this. Swoop around the outside, get the momentum and traction early, and bish bash bosh, overtake done. DRS is mine. We can cover off for another stint. Lap 15 of the Grand Prix, and the Racing Point and the Red Bull are still out there on track at the moment. I think, no, they're still out there. Vettel, though, is coming back at us again towards turn 1. I can cover that line quite easily, and then Vettel actually loses a lot of time there. And as soon as I saw that, I suddenly realised what I needed to do. Lap 16 in the Grand Prix now. Albon and Perez are both pitted for their one and only stops, but crucially, those two drivers are on medium compound tyres. Me and Vettel are on hards, but as we're coming towards turn 1 here, again, Vettel, have a look at the inside line, mate. That's perfectly fine, because look at the amount of time that Vettel loses on the straight there. He loses a horrible amount of time, and I realised that, like I said, as soon as I did that with Vettel the first time, I was like, right, if I can get Vettel to attack me into turn 1, cover the line like that, I'm in fine form here. But Vettel, though, has decided a new spot to overtake at. Super close stuff between me and Sebastian, but around the outside of turn 9, we'll hold that position, and into turn 10 we go. And that is the end of the lap completed. Leclerc is way out in front. Nothing I can do about him. I am literally just holding on to second place right now and just showcasing to you guys that all of the finances that have been invested into the defensive perimeters of Korea is really taking shape now in Formula 1 as we go up the hill. This has nothing to do with it, but why the hell not? Vettel now is going to go towards the inside line there. We get a great run in towards turn 3, which is absolutely fine because I'll just take the outside line and swoop my way around, get better traction on the exit, and it won't even allow him to use his DRS to effect on the next straight because I'm already halfway down the straight. Now, lap 22 to start lap 23, and again, it is literally just defend, defend, defend right now for second place. And like I said, if the AIs want to pass me, they're clearly quicker than me, but catching is one thing, passing is another, and we're showing it right here. Yellow flag though towards turn 1 there. That's one of the Haas cars. I believe it was Romain Grosjean that was out of the Grand Prix there, and that's a little bit of a lifesaver actually, because Vettel couldn't make the overtake stick into turn 1 because of the yellow flags. So now to lap 25 of the Grand Prix here. Sebastian is coming back at us once again, and again in towards the first corner. Gets a little bit close alongside. I can just cover the inside line, and there you go. Boom. There we go. Sebastian's already lost out. We've got 1.3 seconds to our name. We can hold off for another lap or two now. In fact, we hold off to lap 27 of the Grand Prix, and then they come back at us again, and I was like, yeah, absolutely perfect. I'm doing that as many times as I can, just shutting the inside in towards turn 1. And the AIs will back out of it. Albon is our next challenger. He's on the medium compound tyres. I decided to go with the outside line traction move again. See if it works, even though Albon's on mediums. And you know what? It did. I had to use a little bit of ERS then because Albon actually got a better exit. But now onto the final corner of the same lap here. That's a very poor line through there. That really didn't work out into my discretion, and we make another mistake there. You just saw it. You should have seen that then. On the gear selection there, I actually downshifted by mistake. I was meant to go into 8th gear, and I dropped from 7th to 6th there. So a little bit of a gear shift mistake there for myself. But actually, it's not all doom and gloom because I've now got DRS on Albon, and my car is faster than the Honda power unit as we go very deep though in towards turn 3. That was a horrible line through there, and Albon just comes straight back past us again, and he's got DRS for good measure, so that really didn't work out quite too well. But even with Slipstream and ERS, I'm still able to keep up with Albon, so I'll just go around the outside of turn 4 instead. I'm going to give Albon a very close line in here. Albon, try not to take me out, please, and that's very, very good. We get the ERS down. Albon's still there just a little bit, though, on the side, but eventually he just allows me to get onto the racing line and turn on him. But all of a sudden now, we've got a new member to my Korean defensive party. It's Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. Of course, he had a gearbox, not gearbox penalty, sorry, an engine penalty, which dropped him 10 places. He's now on the medium compound tyres, as Albon now is going to go towards the inside line of turn 9, but we'll cover that one off. But yeah, Hamilton now has fought his way back up, and he's now going to join the party here. So let's have some fun then. Lap 29 to start lap 30. Fuel management, not going too well. We're actually negative in the fuel, but here comes Albon now in towards the first corner, and you know exactly what I'm going to do. Just going to chop the inside line off. And I'm not even taking heavy curbing. I'm just taking the little bit of curb on some occasion. Boom, gap 1.2 seconds. I'll see you later. I can recharge my fuel on my battery, and as you can see, fuel's back up to normal again. But I've got my new challenger now. It's Mr. Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes-Benz. So let's see how we can do against Lewis then. But Lewis is going to instantly go on the attack here. He goes towards the outside of turn 9. But quite frankly, Lewis, I don't think you've understood that I've been defending my position since the start of the Grand Prix. At this point in the race, I kind of knew every single defensive parameter possible for the Austrian Grand Prix circuit. So good luck finding a way past me as we go in towards the first corner now. And we're trying to make our way through nice and comfortably. Great entry and exit through turn 2 there. And Lewis Hamilton now is getting much quicker. He's gaining on us. He's gaining very quickly. He might just go for it in towards turn 3. I spot that. Go towards the inside line to defend against him. And again, down the inside, get on the traction. And Lewis Hamilton, you can have fun defending against Sebastian Vettel. And automatically, boom, 7/10 gap. Lovely. Lap 32 of the Grand Prix now to the end of it. And you can see, again, fuel is back on target. But that's not the line I want to be taking in towards the last corner. And Hamilton says, thank you very much. I'll have that. And he's going to breeze on through. But there's a bit of a problem, Lewis. You're very close to the inside line of the corner, so I will just do that, and boom, you've now lost a lot of time again. And once again, the AIs, they don't really seem to turn back. Once you defend very heavily towards the inside and force them wide, the AIs don't really come back on the racing line that quickly. So from my perspective, I just went straight to the outside line, took a swooping line into the corner, and forced Hamilton to back out of it. Quite simple. Now we're going to be starting the 34th lap of this Grand Prix. Here comes Vettel in towards turn 1. Have fun, my friends, because I'm just going to clip the inside curb and see you later, sunshine. Try and reclose me again. And they're now having a squabble between the 4 of them, and that just allows me another lap to basically just calm everything down again. And we go on to now what's going to be the final lap of the Austrian Grand Prix. Again, running a little bit wide on the exit of the last corner. Vettel now with the DRS here. He's getting much closer. This time I won't be able to do my cut-off maneuver in towards the first corner, but he is quite wide in towards the first corner. But this time around, well, we actually do cut him off in towards turn 1. Never mind, I take it back. We now get past Sebastian there, and we can open up the DRS and just breeze through now in towards turn 3 as Charles Leclerc. In fairness, actually, what I was quite surprised about is that Charles Leclerc is only 16.2 seconds up the road. Bearing in mind, I've been defending for 36 laps. Leclerc hasn't. I mean, I didn't have the pace to beat him anyway. I mean, I don't have the pace to beat any of these guys, but quite frankly, what we are showing is the might of the Korean defensive perimeters here as we now go through in towards the middle sector, riding on board for the rest of this lap now. Vettel is in 3rd. Hamilton now is up to 4th. Perez is down to 5th, and Albon has dropped into 6th as those 4 fight for that final podium place. But for us, we're now going through towards this middle sector here, and this is the largest my gap has ever actually been in the entire Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc wins the Austrian Grand Prix. For myself, though, I've actually got breathing room. For the first time in this Austrian Grand Prix, I can actually chill a little bit, and I'm actually pulling away slightly now from these drivers. So yeah, short in short, the DRS kept them in track. But there we go then, across the line for 2nd place in this Austrian Grand Prix. I think all in all, it's quite clear to see, yeah, I didn't have the pace. But at the end of the day, I was able to defend against them. If you don't know me, hopefully that race kind of proves what type of a driver I am. Very aggressive, and I like being aggressive. I like getting the elbows out and having some fun, you know. I really hate it when, you know, there's someone that's, you know, you're in a fight with them and you just sort of let them through and you just don't really try too hard, even though they've got more pace than you. For me, I was in 2nd in the Grand Prix. We were quicker than the other drivers behind. It was just the 4 of us, and then eventually turned into the 5 of us that had a big scrap. So, from my perspective, I'm not just going to let them through and just, you know, settle down into a boring race. I'm going to give it everything I've got, and I did, and I had so much fun out there today. And it was one of my most enjoyable races yet, actually, as Charles Leclerc smashes the champagne bottle. We come across the line, though, and we'll have that 2nd place fully in the bag, and I'm going to shove some of that champagne down Charles Leclerc's back, and we're going to celebrate with that and spray the champagne. Like I said, obviously, would have preferred to have sprayed a minigun, but they didn't let me. So as you can see then, I mean, we set at 107.0, it's our fastest lap, but you can see everyone else around me was faster. But at the end of the day, you know, I was defending my position. And that was that, really. So, yeah. And like I said, after the Grand Prix, I was kind of celebrating. I put my controller down, put my fists in the air, and celebrated a little bit. Because it was just so much fun. Drivers' Championship, we're now up to 124 points. Vettel is now only 2 points clear of Charles Leclerc in the Drivers' Championship as the 2 Ferrari drivers get a little bit close for company. Speaking of Austria, didn't they crash into each other? Anyway, let's move away from that. I probably offended enough people now. 2 points is the gap between myself and Red Bull, which I actually thought was quite surprising in all of that. considering we are not in the fastest car in the world. But at the end of the day, I'm having a lot of fun and getting good results. So, yeah, that was a bit of a surprise to me, actually, to see us that close to them. But I do expect throughout the rest of the season that gap to slowly increase. First question from Emma, or Claire, whatever her name is. She's annoying. She tells me that I was cutting my way through the field. Short in short, I didn't. I got off a very good start, and then I defended for the entire Grand Prix. Everything went my way today. Kind of, yeah. I mean, all I did was just put my car in a position whereby you're never going to get past me because I pretty much put my barracks up. As you can see now, we're breaking all expectations. Well, quite frankly, there is no secret. It's about having a great team and a great car. Hashtag Force Career for life. We defend our team, we defend our country and our nation. Now, with that being said and done, I don't know what's wrong with me today, but accept it, move on with it. In terms of the rivalry with Alexander Albon, even though we got given that rivalry, we actually beat him in the Grand Prix for rivalry, so that's pretty cool. But we're coming up to high downforce circuits next, or high speed, high quartering circuits of Hungary and Silverstone. And they're probably not going to suit the car very, very well. But we'll have to wait and see, because Spain apparently just dominated, even though we found out that that was a nice cheeky AI glitch in there. But as you can see, we're up to level 11 on the Team Acclaim, and that is what we want to be seeing right there, getting all of the money from all of the sponsors. That was the dream for me, was to see that 600k coming into the bank. And yeah, I will take that all day, any day. And obviously, our aim is to try and get that as much as possible. The one that's obviously going to be the biggest challenge is going to be to qualify the top 10 for every single race. Because at the moment, we don't necessarily have the qualifying car. I've got the race car, is the best way to put it. As we now go towards the team headquarters. And this is where we get to do a little bit of driver investments. We've now got 6.1 mil. And we can now renegotiate with Jack Aiken for the rest of the season, basically. Or I could go to the driver market and find somebody else. So I've got 6.17 million in the bank. I've saved it all up, and I could afford Giovinazzi, I could afford Magnussen, or I could afford George Russell. Or, you know, I could try my bargain with someone else that's more expensive. I didn't actually know how the driver transfer market works, and we're about to find out. My biggest pain is that Albon actually was 6 million at the start of this episode. He then went up to 7.5 million, and I was fuming because I couldn't afford it. So yeah, that was a little bit of a pain in the backside. But what we're going to do now is do a bit of negotiating. See who fancies coming. So I first of all had a look at George Russell, and I was thinking he's got a lot of good attributes in there. So we're going to see if we can try and sign George Russell to join into the team. Short and short, I don't really want Aiken in the team. But if I have to keep him, I'll keep him. But as you can see, unfortunately, approach was declined as George Russell wanted the Spec 1 for personnel, and I don't actually have that. I've not done an upgrade on the personnel side of things. So annoyingly, I've missed out on a chance to sign George Russell from Williams to come and join Forced Careers. So short in short, as you try and sign drivers, you'll realise that they've got different sets of objectives that they want. So here's Carlos Sainz. So we've got the chassis spec that he wants and the team acclaim that he wants. We just didn't have the money demands, obviously. So that's something to bear in mind, is you cannot negotiate a lower market value. You actually have to stick to that market value. You can't try and go lower or under, which is something that I realised now after trying to do this. So I had a look at Kevin Magnussen, and I thought 78 rated, team acclaim of level 9, more experience, more race pace, less awareness, but I thought let's have a little bit of a negotiation and see what we could do. And our approach was accepted. We had the driver demands, we had the chassis spec, and the vehicle performance position was 10th or better. So we now go to a driver auction, which is quite fascinating. So we've got a balance here that we have to basically work by and pretty much just bid with Haas and have a war against them. So, yeah, let's get straight into it then and get down into the auction, and we're going to start the negotiations then very, very shortly. And as you can see, here we go. Then we got a small bit of 4.4 million, or we got 4.05 million bid here. We're going to go with a 4.05 million bid here. If has to go with a 4.02 million bid, we're going to go with an 4.05 million bid just to try and do that under negotiations now with a 4.05 million bid coming straight in here from the Force Careers. The Haas cars are now taking this under consideration here. They go with a 4.07 million pound bid in here. We're going to chuck up a cheeky little large one here with a 4.17 million bid now in our pocket with a actually it's a 4.12 million bid. I've actually got that completely wrong. Haas now coming in with a brand new deal of a 4.17 million bid. I ain't got enough money, bollocks. Yeah, so that failed, quite frankly. No money there, and unfortunately, negotiations fell short. We unfortunately lost out on Kevin Magnussen, and now I'm thinking to myself, basically, short in short, I do not have enough money to sign a driver, basically. I could have signed George Russell, but I just didn't have the personnel spec that he wanted, which is something that I need to look at for the rest of the season. So I thought I could go with Giovinazzi, but he's just too low of a rating. And Jack Aitken, he is 68 rated. I think I just need to actually work on improving him, rather than just, well, bullying him all the time. Maybe doing some more things to help him out and get him a higher rating, because I think it's possible. I've just got to work on it a little bit more. So, in the end, I just took the mic and see what Lewis Hamilton wanted. So Hamilton wants Spec 2 Aero, Team acclaim 17th, vehicle performance 4th or better, and £18 million wage demand. I just wanted to see what the top teams actually wanted, because I didn't know. Perhaps you guys were curious, so I'd approached Ocon as well, see what he wanted. He actually didn't want that much. He just wanted Team acclaim 11 and then his money. I had the Team acclaim, just not his money. So that sucks. In the end, though, I do decide to renew my contract with Jack Aitken, as you can see here, and the approach. Now I had to actually make him an offer, whether I went with a low risk and give him more money, a medium risk and stick with his market value, or take it as a high risk and go with a lower offer for Jack Aitken. In the end, I stick with the medium bands, 2.5 million. He accepts that, and we've now got Aitken for the rest of the season. So guys, if you have enjoyed today's video, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well. And I'll see you guys next time for the British Grand Prix. Thank you very much for watching. Take care all. Peace.